Moving ahead now, and Australian mushrooms have launched an exclusive research that looks into the way we eat and provides some surprising facts about Aussie health. I'm here with Australian mushroom producer Georgia Beattie to find out a little bit more about the space. Welcome to you. Thanks for joining me in the studio.
Thanks so much for having me.
I'm glad it wasn't a long drive for you, just 30 minutes out of the CBD. And you've brought some props.
I've brought some props. These are literally picked just before I got in the car and raced over here to make it in time. So I thought, why not have something?
Let's talk mushrooms.
Yeah.
So tell us what you've got here just to start.
So these are what we call agaricus on a farm level. But these are your sort of classic sort of button mushrooms. And what people don't realise is that this mushroom and this mushroom is actually the same. They grow 1 millimetre an hour. And so there's sort of anywhere between 12 and 18 hours.
I'm picturing like that time lapse footage where they kind of expand.
We do that all the time.
Yeah, right. Of course you do.
Put a little GoPro in there. So yeah, there's, they're super simple. And as I was saying before, they were the original vertical farm, so they're quite sustainably grown. Which
we've discussed on the program before in the past, vertical farming's becoming such a big thing. But let's talk a bit about the research findings that you guys have brought to us today and what you found.
Yeah, it's really, through the pandemic, what we saw is 1 in 3 Australians decided that they're going to have a meat-free day. And so that's been a big trend. I'm not surprised. People that are around our age, it's very common, but we're actually seeing 1 in 3 Australians. So that's cool. Quite a significant sort of reach. So 58% of Australians consume fresh produce twice a day, and what we noticed during COVID is that increased, and so they're eating more fresh food. In summary.
Okay. No, it's interesting to see because I've definitely seen a lot of plant-based burgers and things go mainstream in terms of restaurants and stuff taking the uptick. Yep. But mushrooms are the unsung hero of that space, I think.
Yeah, well, they naturally fit into that space, and you don't need a science degree to read the back of a packet if it's a mushroom burger. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, which is great and healthier for you too. So I guess what's been in demand? What are you seeing customers buying or looking to buy more and more with these changes?
Well, what was interesting is there was a big perception during the pandemic that diets were worsening, where our data actually says that we're eating more fresh produce. And so I think after that mad rush of panic buying, we saw consumers thinking, okay, I'm sick of eating pasta and canned tomato.
Absolutely.
Let's go and experiment because we've got a little bit more time. So I think what we saw is people with more time were spending more time in the kitchen and experimenting, and mushrooms were a big part of that.
Yeah, fantastic. And I happen to love a mushroom. Swiss are my favourite, Swiss brown.
Well, I've got one right here.
This
is dinner.
Is that what that is?
That's for you.
You joke, but I probably will steal those.
I have brought these for you, I promise.
Legend. But I understand that you guys have also collaborated with Adam Luo from the mushroom recipes and things like that.
Yep. So
he's a master chef.
He's a master chef. Yeah, and super popular chef that we thought would be a fantastic collaboration for a project like this. And it's sort of marrying up the old and the new in a way that sort of like traditionally we have a meat product that will make it onto the plate. And so there you can see some footage there. Adam's created this fantastic butcher and put mushrooms everywhere. And there's a movement around sort of I call it reducitarian, but basically wanting to decrease your meat consumption. And so a great way to do that is to start adding mushrooms in with meat, and so it ends up being a little bit healthier, but more vitamin D and folate and things. And so he's got some really cool recipes. One of them, which is my favourite, so that's a mushroom burger there.
Yeah, it is.
He's also got some. There are these minced chicken nuggets, that have got mushroom in them, and I gave them a go. They're like this barbecue delicious that you sort of lightly fry. So it's something that's tasty and a bit of a treat. But you've reduced your meat intake, but you're still, having a bit of fun, and it's sort of old meets new.
Yeah, and they're also really flavoursome. That's the other thing I would say to people out there. They get worried that there's sort of a dirt taste or something like that, but it's no, they absorb flavour in the same way that tofu, I think, I would say.
Well, if you reduce them down, it's got this umami flavour, and so it's really and so it's a great ingredient to have you see it as a base in a stock, but it can actually start being the hero rather than the thing that's on the side of the plate. And with this whole sort of meat reduction, it's a trend that's here to stay because but ultimately, I mean, we grow these indoors, so they're not as susceptible to climate change and the things that are going on. Throw a whole heap of solar panels on the roof, and you've got a product that's available every day of the year, rather than being sort of
seasonal. Seasonally affected.
So you can just have these on the plate it can be sort of like your Tuesday thing. I'm going to reduce meat and get some mushrooms that are good. They're prebiotic as well, so I like them for my gut and immune system. But that's just me.
No, there you go. There's some tips and tricks in there for you as well. So you guys are available at Australian Mushrooms across social medias. I've seen you there.
Yep,
Where else?
So Adam's got here, they've got some quite cool videos on how to make the different recipes on Instagram, but also on australianmushrooms.com.au.
Perfect. Georgia, thank you so much for joining us on the program and unpacking a little bit more about this magical food group that people need to be taking more notice of. So thanks again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Easy done. There's a lot to consider from today's discussion, and some mushrooms as well. And that's it from me for now. I want to thank you for your time. And of course, remember to head to tickernews.co for breaking stories from around the world, tickeroriginals.co for more insights and discussions from topics